Right, peace family. It is Christina and Miss Buff Buff saying hello. Hi. We're on our daily walk yet again. And today I wanted to talk about how beneficial periods of isolation can be in so many different ways to help us find ourselves, to help us clear our minds, to help us start a business, to help us learn something new, all that good stuff. But before we get into the official video, I just wanted to send my well wishes to everyone watching this, sending my love, and sending well wishes of joy, peace, life, love, abundance, prosperity, to everyone watching this, to your families, to your communities, to your children, to everyone around you. I just kind of decided to make these videos really just to share a little bit of joy, I uplift myself, and maybe if one person, two people, 10, 100,000 people, who knows, see this and are uplifted, that's a win. And so that's really all that this is about. So everything I'm talking about is really coming out of my own experiences, my own life, and lessons I've learned and am learning as we speak. And so I'm not an expert on everything, but I just, I have lived a couple of years, and so I'm really just talking out of that. So I wanted to talk about isolation and periods of separating yourself from your friends. I have a few friends who've, ended their marriages and have entered into times of isolation, right? Periods of kind of being on their own in a certain way when maybe they weren't used to really being on their own, and how scary it can be at first when you're used to, if you're kind of a gregarious person, even if you're like a kind of a loner, if you're used to being around a particular person, or if you're used to having a certain group of friends or whatever it is, even a church home, whatever it is, and then you move or something changes in your life, or suddenly you're grounded, right? You're grounded, and you get sat down for whatever reason by life, and you end up kind of having to go through this period of, wow, I have to sit with my thoughts. I have to wrestle with myself. I have to deal with my demons, or whatever it may be, and how hard that can be, and how scary that can be, and also how that can be some of the best times of your life, and some of the biggest periods of growth, some of the biggest periods of understanding, of introspection, of really learning, when you talk about know thyself, really learning who you are and, what you're made of, what your stock really is. I think it can be a hugely beneficial period for yourself. And so I just wanted to talk about that, and really out of my own experience. So the first thing I want to say about isolation is that it can be terrifying. It can be overwhelming, terrifying, scary, and wow, there's a lot that can be said about periods of isolation, and I think the first thing is to let go of the fear of anything, right? I think one of the things in this journey of life is letting go of fear. Letting go of fear and finding faith, finding confidence in self, finding confidence in that higher power, if you have one, if that's God, or if that's yourself, whatever it is, right? And a lot of times, I think, when we enter periods of isolation, we have been like relying on other people, places, things, all that stuff for our well-being, right? Relying on them. And then all of a sudden it's like, I have to rely on myself, or I have to rely on God. And that can be, I think, the scary part, where it's like, wait a second, I don't have all these people to lean on right now. I have to lean on myself. And a lot of times that can come along with periods of like disappointment, like feeling disappointed in people, right? You're like, wow, this person was supposed to be here for me, or these people have let me down in a certain way. This is why I'm in this position, right? But I feel like that is when we find our inner strength, right? Where we let go of that fear. Sometimes it's almost like being thrust out of the nest, right? Where you're like, you maybe have been coddled by whatever the situation was. Maybe you got too comfortable, And then all of a sudden, you get thrown out of this comfortable situation and have to find strength somewhere else. And while that can be scary, it can also be profoundly empowering, because all of a sudden you find an inner strength that you didn't even know that you had. And that can be, to me, the most exciting part, because now, second part, your mind becomes totally free and clear of other people's thoughts and opinions and expectations of you. So if you were living, it doesn't matter what it is, in a marriage, in a community of certain people who were kind of, even in family situations, where people may have certain expectations of you, where they've decided, you should do this for a living, or you should be with this type of a person, or this is how you should be as a person, right? And a lot of times I feel like we try to make people happy, right? We don't want to disappoint our family, our parents, and like the expectations of us. But sometimes it can be stifling, because it prevents us from finding who we are and what we want and the things that would really make us be happy and thrive in our life. And so the exciting part, right, is once you enter a period of isolation, now all of a sudden your mind is completely clear of the expectations of everyone around you. It's no longer having to satisfy everything that people thought you should be. Your mind becomes totally free and clear to think about, wait, what it is that I actually want then? If I'm not fulfilling these expectations, and I'm not beholden to this person or to these people or to this organization or whatever it is, now there's freedom, and your mind becomes very pristine and very clear to really think about, what is it that is my purpose? What is it that would really make me happy? What is it that, I've been dreaming of doing? Like, let's say your period of isolation might be like not working for a particular company, right? But now this isolation, come here, becomes a period for you to think about, well, if I were to start a business for myself, what would it be? If I were to do something on my own that has nothing to do with, whatever it is I've been doing, right? Let's say you've been working a job and it's just been something to do just to make money, right? But now for the first time you have the opportunity to vision and dream and be creative, right? So sometimes this period of isolation can not only be an opportunity to let go of fear and to have faith in yourself and in your higher power if you have one, but to really let go of previously held expectations, and to find a creative mental space where all of a sudden you're free to think and vision and dream and have imagination and be creative, right? And a lot of times these periods of isolation, if you're in some type of crisis, it can be some of the best, most innovative times of your life. This can be when you might start that side business, where you might start making art, I have a friend who started making rugs, out of the blue, right? And you never know what's gonna happen until you kind of let go of that comfort zone and try something that you would have never tried if you didn't have the space and the mental freedom to do it. And so that, to me, can actually be profoundly exciting. And so yeah, I've been going through various periods of isolation and, socialization and isolation, and I feel like it goes back and forth sometimes, And it can be some of the most profound experiences of my life, is really having that space and that time for me, I know not everyone talks to God or believes in God, but for me to really open myself up and to talk to God and to ask God, what do you want me to be doing right now? I feel like sometimes God kind of is like, I see why people talk about God as a parent, because it's like, God will literally sit you down in the most literal way, like sit you down, put you on timeout, like you're on timeout right now. And you're like, what? You want to pout and fuss and all this. And God is like, okay, well, you're going to sit there until you realize why I put you on timeout. But when you're in timeout, just like a little kid, right? Now you have time to think about what it is that I did. Why am I on timeout? What was I, maybe you were even going in the wrong direction, you know, and God needed to, or higher power, universe, whatever you want to call it, even if it's your own inner wisdom, needed to, on an energetic level, stop that progression in a negative direction. And this period of isolation could be an opportunity to reroute you into a more productive and positive direction, you know? And so there's a lot that can be said here. There's a lot, I think, in these periods of isolation that can be tremendously positive. But here's the thing. You have to have a positive outlook on it, right? You can take periods of isolation, and if you decide that this is negative, this is bad, I'm gonna feel sorry for myself, then, you know, that's what it's gonna be for you. You know? You sit there and pout, eat ice cream. I mean, ice cream is delicious, but I mean, you can't just sit and eat ice cream all day, right? You know? But I mean, if you sit and you're like, you know what, like, let me use this time the best as I can to learn and to grow, then that's what it's gonna be, right? It's all about your mindset. And so I'm not gonna talk too long. I just wanted to say something positive and send something positive into the universe to you guys, to all my friends. And I always, you know, love you guys, wishing everyone the best. And if anyone is, you know, in a period of isolation, wishing that you will find what the benefit is in it, you know? Find that creative energy, find that peace, find that joy, find that excitement, you know? And if you've been rerouted, accept the redirection, you know? Accept it and figure out, what was I doing wrong and where do I need to go next? And if you do it right, I think periods of isolation can be some of the most profound periods of your life. And that's awesome. And I'm really excited for anyone watching this. If you're still here and you're in that period, I'm really excited for you. And so, as always, sending my well wishes of love, peace, joy, prosperity to everyone watching this. And as always, I will see you on the next one. And Buff Buff says, peace.